All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to go on a kind of treasure hunt, deep into the world of doomsday preppers. But trust me, the prize we're looking for isn't what you think it is. So let's dig in. We're going to be exploring the secrets hidden way down in American bunkers, all to answer one big question. What is the real treasure that these preppers are trying to protect? Because here's your first clue. The treasure isn't the stacks of canned food or the fancy water filters. It's not the heavy blast doors or the boxes of ammunition. Nope. The treasure is the bunker itself. It's an entire philosophy about the world, about human nature, and about the future, made terrifyingly real. You know, the scholar David L. Pike, he has a great name for this. He calls it the bunker fantasy. And he says it's this dream of survival that tells you just as much about the person dreaming as it does about the catastrophe they're picturing. And that idea right there, that's the key to this whole thing. Okay, so first stop on our treasure hunt, we have to go back in time. See, the whole modern bunker fantasy wasn't born from today's anxieties. The original blueprints, they were drafted way back during the absolute dread of the Cold War. And you can see it right here. There were these two big peaks of bunker building mania. First, you have 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis, when digging a fallout shelter in your backyard basically became a patriotic duty. Then, it happens again in 1983, which was the closest the world had come to nuclear war since '62. These two moments really cemented the whole idea of going underground right into the American psyche. And what came out of this era? Well, you get the basic categories of bunkers that we still see today. You've got your classic suburban backyard shelter, right? Then there's the self-reliant survivalist's private fortress, the shared city shelters, and of course the super secretive government super shelters. These are the archetypes, the originals. So here's the crucial point. And bingo, we found our first piece of the treasure. The Cold War didn't just give us a bunch of concrete holes in the ground. It gave us an entire vocabulary for how to even imagine survival. It gave us the blueprints for every single bunker fantasy that would come after. All right, let's move on to our next clue. We're going to jump from the government's vision of survival all the way to today's hyper-privatized and, believe it or not, super luxurious version. And wow, this slide just illustrates the shift perfectly. On the left, you've got the Greenbrier. This was a top-secret bunker built in 1961 to save every single member of Congress. The purpose was to preserve the state, a duty. On the right, the Survival Condo, a converted missile silo from 2008 designed to save wealthy individuals. It's not a secret, it's a spectacle. Survival has officially become a commodity. And when I say commodity, I am not kidding. The starting price for an apartment in this geoscraper, as they call it, is $1.5 million. That's not a typo. That's the entry fee for survival. But you know, what's really fascinating about the survival condo isn't just the price tag, it's the philosophy. The designer, Larry Hall, he got that survival is just as much psychological as it is physical. To stop people from having a complete breakdown, you have to build what he calls psychological infrastructure. We're talking LED screens that act as windows, luxury amenities like movie theaters, and routines like baking bread to create this illusion that life is still normal. And that right there, that reveals our second treasure. Modern, high-end prepping isn't about roughing it in the mud. It's about ensuring the continuity of your lifestyle, even if the world outside has totally ended. You're not just surviving. You're preserving your exact way of life, just underground. So far, we've looked at government secrets and billionaire playgrounds. But for our next clue, we need to look a little closer to home. Because the bunker fantasy, well, it isn't just for the fringes anymore. It has totally gone mainstream. I mean, just take this quote from a TikTok video that went completely viral. A user named Carly finds a fully stocked prepper bunker hidden behind a fake wall in her grandma's new house. And her joking reaction? It actually speaks to a much deeper truth. This fantasy is hidden all around us, sometimes in the most ordinary places you can imagine. And look, this isn't just a feeling or a few funny videos. The numbers really tell the story. In 2023, the prepping industry was worth nearly $2.5 billion. The pandemic, with all the empty shelves and supply chain nightmares, it was like a crash course in preparedness for everyone, turning millions of normal people into, low-key preppers. So how did the super wealthy justify all this? Well, listen to this quote from Tyler Allen, one of the survival condo residents. He frames it as a totally rational act of protection. The logic is, yeah, it sounds crazy if you're an average person, but it's just being prudent if you're the president, or he says if you have the means. Ah, yes, the means. His penthouse unit cost $4.5 million, cash only. So the justification is all about protecting your family, but the price tag? It reveals a pretty stark reality. In this fantasy, survival gets auctioned off to the highest bidder. And there it is, our third treasure. The idea of prepping, the bunker fantasy itself, is now absolutely everywhere. It's been democratized in our culture, even if the luxury bunkers themselves are still reserved for the 1%. Okay, we've collected all the clues. We've seen the historical blueprints, the luxury evolution, and the fact that this fantasy is now mainstream. So it's time. Let's put it all together and finally uncover the treasure that's been right beneath our feet this whole time. So let's be crystal clear. The final treasure is not the physical stuff. It's not the supplies, it's not the reinforced concrete, and it's definitely not the underground swimming pools. The real lost treasure is this. It's the human capacity to imagine a future that is so bad you have to go underground, and then to actually go out and build it. It's the act of preparing for a world that has, in the prepper's mind, actually already ended. And that makes a bunker this profound cultural artifact. It expresses this deep conflict we all have with the world we've built. Think about it. It's a total vote of no confidence in society's ability to hold itself together. But at the exact same time, it's this desperate, almost loving attempt to preserve a tiny piece of that same society in a miniature underground ark. Which really leaves us with one final question for you. When you look at the world today with all of its anxieties and uncertainties, what's your bunker fantasy? Would you be heading underground, or would you take your chances up on the surface?